Hi there, this is James Miller from VFX Nomad, and here we're going to talk about procedural shading. So this came up in one of the threads, and I thought it was easier to show you than try and explain, and you might find this useful. So what I've done here is I set up a basic scene with a sphere, a box, and a plane. Nothing special about them, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to import some textures. So I have a little archive of CG textures, or textures.com, that I tend to go to. I don't think it totally matters which ones you choose, but I'm just going to grab them. So the first thing that we need to do is look at what these textures look like on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a standard shader, and we're going to drop the same shader on all these objects, and then check that it's working. So there we go. Let's go green. There we are. So our shader is working. Let's turn our specular value to 0 because we don't need it for what we're doing. And let's just grab this first texture and drag and drop it in here. So there we go. The thing that's happening here is that you can see it's mapped its own way over here, its own way here, and then its own way on this plane. So that's the thing that we're trying to get around. We want to use one texture on everything, or a couple textures on everything. So stage one is changing the way that it's projecting. You can do planar, you can pick an axis, and the most important part is to change it from object to world. So now everyone is sharing the same frequency. Now, problem with planar is that it will stretch on things that are going sort of perpendicular to the axis that you pick. So we want to avoid that. The easiest way to do that, and the way that I'm going to start this little tutorial off with, is by picking cubic. Now, let me scale up this texture a little bit, and you should begin to see what that means. So the first thing that you can notice is that we have a repeating texture over all of this here. But that's right, that's what we're going to address in just a second. The second thing is that you have a different texture on each of these axes, so it's no longer stretching, which is great. But the downside is, if you zoom in here a bit more, you will see that there's this kind of seam between them. So on each axis, it just comes in, it plonks it over here, and then when it gets to this edge, it just flips and does a new one over there. So this is the downside of using planar, cubic, but this is what I try and use whenever I can. Like, if you're not noticing these seams anywhere, you're winning. So all I'm going to do now is jump over to these other two, and in essence, just give them the same settings. So we're going to go cubic, we're going to go world, and I think I gave it a projection scale of 10. So 10, 10, 10. Okay, great. Now, stage one is going to be getting rid of this tiling. You know, that's the goal here. So I need to pull down our next texture. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and blend between these two. Now, you want to pick the texture blend, not the material blend, because, you know, that's what we're doing. And I'm just going to plug this guy in, and you will see that nothing happens. And the reason that nothing happens is because there's this little mix input, and we haven't put anything in it. The thing that we're going to put in here is going to be noise. So we're going to press noise, and I will go with Perlin noise because it's the most annoying. And why is it annoying? Well, let me show you. So if we go cubic and we go world, let's just plug it in. I think that was the slot. Now it's really hard to see what it's doing, just because, you know, we're looking at textures. So what I'm going to do is actually put in a constant. And we'll go here and we'll just plug that in instead of this other texture for a second, and then we'll make it purple. Now, this is the thing that I don't like about it, that it's never really completely black or white. It's just over everything, and it's really, really difficult to get it to behave. I almost never have luck getting this thing to do what I want. So, I mean, we can spend a second and we can just randomly push around some numbers for a bit and see what happens. I mean, that happens. I mean, what is that? And we have this, you know, whatever, and more whatever. You know, none of it really does what you think it's going to do. So the way that I do this is, I think I go over here, and in essence what we want to do is change the curve a little bit. the easiest way is with this remap, and we can just drop that in there. And then let me try and remember. Yeah, so something like that. There we go. Something a bit more normal. So we actually have parts where it's on and parts where it's off. You know, you can do that with the other noises, but the other noises look like noise. So there we go. All right, so the next stage is to increase this frequency a little bit. I'm just going to do that the same way that I did it with the other ones. I'm going to grab this guy and pull it out, and let's start with this at about 6, I guess. And I'm just going to manually enter that value of 6. And at this point, we are ready to drop in the other texture that we were looking at. And that looks terrible. Why is that? All right, so let's say this is what we've decided we're going to go with. It's just different texture, but everything else is the same. All right, so we've done a good job beginning to break it up at this point. We've got our noise, it's peppering in there, it's making things better, and all we're really going to do to complete this shader is going to repeat that process. So we can grab these 3. We're going to paste it down here. It looks terrible, so let's just tidy this up a little bit. And there we go. And what we need now is our third texture. So we'll drop that guy in. Fingers crossed it's a little bit better than that one I just picked. And there we go. Now you see absolutely nothing happening. And the reason is because it's not plugged in. So let's fix that. And then the second thing is that the noise is exactly the same as this one. So they're just going over the top of each other. Now let's go over here. We are going to, back up this way, and we're going to change the value of this. So let's make it something like that. And that's kind of how procedural shading tends to work. You just mix and match a bunch of these different blends together, and you keep going until it looks good. I mean, at this point, you probably want to add some saturation to this part that you've just added, and you know, spend a little time making this look better. But that is the gist of procedural shading. You put it in, you mix the 2 with a bit of noise, and then you mix another 2 with a bit more noise, and you just keep going until something looks decent. Now, having said all of that, we have this problem over here, which is this sphere, right? Because if you do have a shot that happens to be on a corner, like this is going to be right in the middle of frame, and that's super obvious, and we need to do something about it. So the question is, what are we going to do? At this point, we introduce the triplanar, and the triplanar comes in, and what that does is, in essence, does a cubic projection. You can choose, it's probably easier to see here, and you can choose what goes in each axis, but you also have this blend ability, which sort of fades between the 2 edges, which can be very useful. So at this point, we're just going to go for the cheap and cheerful option. Now, this is kind of annoying that you have to do it over and over and over for each input. It would be nice if there was just, you know, if it was the opposite, if you had one input and then you just enabled the other ones as you went along, but this is how they have built it. So there we go. And this is what we're getting, and it's not helpful at all. Let's change this from object to world. There we go. And let's increase the blend, and nothing good is happening from this triplanar. So at this point, it's like, oh, you know, do I take this out and do I put it over here, or do I put it here where the blend is, or, you know, what is the best way to use this? Now, it takes a while, obviously, to plug all of these things in, so I'm just going to jump us over to this pre-built one that I did a little earlier. So based on that, let me just jump over and show you what I came up with. So I went through and I was like, all right, let's grab each one, put it on the triplanar, and then stick that triplanar in the blend and do the same with the noise and yada, yada, yada. And if we grab this one here and we drop it on everything, you'll see that it is not really working, right? We're still getting this really bold edge, which, you know, looks like a mistake because it is. So we need to do something about that. Now, a much easier way to do this was to triplane after each blend. that'd probably serve you a bit better. And just to sort of show you that actually working, because I showed you it not working, is this. And here we go. And the main difference here is going to be, I reverted all of these to planar, right? So they're all projecting from the top down. Now, the triplanar does have this force planar projection mode, but it seems to, I don't know, I don't have a good answer for you, but when it's on cubic and you run it through that, like you saw just, you know, like you saw over here, it just seems to fall apart. It just doesn't work the way it's supposed to. I'm not sure why it's so dark. I probably hit the wrong button somewhere, but it does not matter. Let's keep moving forward. So what I would say is, if you do choose to use the triplanar, this is going to be the best way to do it. Now, it obviously takes a minute to grab all of these, like I said, but the bonus is that you should actually have quite a lot of joy getting it to work on your seams. And then the main thing is going to be down here. I don't know if you can see the edge there. And we are going to blend it, and you see that it's actually sort of blurred the two. So I hope that was helpful as a bit of a rundown. Like I said, I personally will always start with cubic because I don't like having to fight with the triplanar. And I would say don't spend hours trying to get the purlin noise to work like it's supposed to, because it won't work. So if you just go from here into here, I used a contrast. I actually don't advise that after playing with it a little bit. Things tend to go green. There you go, like that. So don't use that. Use the remap like we did over here, because that stops you getting negative values. So yes, hopefully this is useful. I will link to this project in case you want to sort of have a look around the graph. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and tell me if any of this isn't working for you. All right, cheers.